Hi everyone, Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple, and this is the Bookkeeping Made Simple podcast. On this show, I talk about everything to do with business, from mindset and wellness to time management to bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, and tax. And the last ones are mostly because that's what I do for a living. But I'm also a business owner. So this is mostly about my journey to becoming successful. I started out in accounting way back in the 90s. My first accounting job was as a medical biller, which I enjoyed. I liked not working in the food industry. And it kind of went from there. So today I want to talk about the Pomodoro Technique. And the reason I want to talk about this is that a lot of people now are working from home, which I 100% support. I firmly believe that if you're an information worker and you don't have to be in an office, I think it's dumb to have an office. I think it's just overhead you don't need to spend money on, personally. And with that said, I'm looking for an office, but that is more of, I need a place that's not my home to meet with clients. So I need something that's kind of intermittent. I don't necessarily want to require my employees to come into the office. And I have some reasons for this. And in my last video, I talked about one of the things that I do to make sure that I don't have to require that, which is our quarterly reviews. But today I want to talk about the Pomodoro Technique. Now, I have ADHD. I didn't know I had ADHD. I have a nasty case of ADHD, and it's made worse by the fact that I have like 5 screens on my desk, not counting my tablet, my phone. So I have a laptop, a desktop, 3 monitors. Yeah, I have a lot of screens. And I'm constantly looking at screens. It's so much easier to carry around 10,000 books in a tablet, even a big tablet like this, than it is to carry around a bunch of books. And I'm a voracious reader. The Pomodoro Technique is named after a tomato-shaped timer, which is where the word Pomodoro comes from. It is Italian for tomato. The guy that came up with it, and his name completely escapes me, I don't think I ever even knew who it was. He decided he was going to use his kitchen timer and time his work for 25 minutes. It's very similar to the Fly Lady suggestion. I have a Fly Lady timer on my desk. It says you can do anything for 15 minutes. And the idea is you just do 15 minutes or 25 minutes or 45 minutes, but you do a set amount of work and then you take a break. Fly Lady's thing was just 15 minutes. You're doing housework, do 15 minutes at a time. For my work, when I'm doing deep work, typically I want a 45 minute. If 25 minutes, I'm just starting to get into it. 45 minutes, by the time 45 minutes is up, I'm kind of mentally tired. But I use this to enable me to do everything that I need to do. So since I work from home, I have a lot of housework related tasks that are kind of nagging at me. I do everything I can to automate and outsource, but I found that the cleaning companies that I've tried to hire don't do the job that I would do. They've been hit and miss. And I can do just as well in 5 or 10 minute spurts during my workday. So I will work for 45 minutes. Again, the length of your work session is up to you. But I'll work for 45 minutes. And then I will, at the end of the 45 minutes, I just take a 5-minute break, maybe a 10-minute break. And I will go do something that needs to be done in the house. I do not want to spend this time reading. I do not want to spend this time looking at another screen. I want to get up and move around. That does a couple things. One is sitting is horrible for you if you're doing it all day like I do. So I do want to get up and move. The other thing is I don't want to look at screens. I want to give my brain a break. I don't want to get involved in something else and now I've got to switch back. But if I'm loading the dishwasher, that doesn't take any mental power. If I'm making up the bed, that doesn't take any mental power. That's just me getting up and moving around. So I can then come back to what I was working on with a fresh mind. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes to reset your brain. Now, I've seen a lot of CEOs say that they're just terrified that someone in their workforce that works from home might do the laundry. And I'm like, but it makes them a better worker. It really does. That's very much what the studies say. I'm going to do another video later on the benefits of work from home, where I have all the studies. It is a bone of contention in my household because I am a firm believer in it. And Christopher likes to go to the office. I like for him to go to the office. So we're on the same side. He is a return to office person, and I am a nope, I've been working from home for 20 years person. So yeah, it's a little bit of conflict. But the studies actually show, when they do studies that are objective, the studies actually show that workers who are allowed to work from home are far more productive. One, they're not already mentally exhausted by the commute. I hate commuting. I don't mind driving, but I hate commuting. So I joke that my commute is so horrible, it's through 10 feet of shag carpet. It's awful, awful, especially in the wintertime. So, you're sitting in traffic. That's mentally draining to start with. So you arrive at work tired because you had to get through traffic. Here in Utah, we don't have a lot of traffic problems. Our rush hour isn't that bad. I've also driven in Würzburg, Germany, Munich, Frankfurt, St. Louis, Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, Portland. Utah's traffic is not that bad, but it's still exhausting. By the time here in Utah, and I'm not going to speak about any other state because this is where I've lived for the past almost 25 years. In Utah, we have a lot of bedroom communities that don't have a lot of businesses. So you do have at least a 20-minute commute. If you have to commute up to Salt Lake City, that can be up to 45 minutes, depending, of course, on where you live. And that's where all the traffic is. People in Utah can't drive. So you're stressed. You're dealing with moronic drivers. The good ones are from California. Utahns, I don't know what's going on in Utah, but all of a sudden people can't drive. All of a sudden people are driving the wrong way on the interstate. All of a sudden they're just not paying attention. And so that's a lot of stress. So you show up to work after a 20 to 40-minute commute, and that's a very short commute compared to some parts of the country, and you're already tired. That's 20 to 40 minutes that you could have been preparing for your day. Now, yes, I listen to audiobooks in the car. I listen to anything I can find that's uplifting. Right now, I'm listening to Earl Nightingale, so you'll hear me refer to him quite a bit. I'm trying to listen to him over and over because there's so many gems there. I listen to a lot of business gurus, a lot of people that have been in business a lot longer than I have, because I'm looking for things that are going to help me grow my business. But when you commute, you start off tired, and you start off tired just because of the drive to get to work. Then you're seated at your desk all day. When I worked in corporate America, I didn't get up unless my colleagues came and got me. We had a 10-minute break in the morning, a 10-minute break in the afternoon, and 30 minutes for lunch. So my colleagues, I would do the same thing I do now. They're just less obvious. I would put headphones on. I would listen to music so I could tune out, because again, ADHD, if I had to listen to everybody talking, I was busy listening to everyone talking and not busy enough looking at what I needed to look at. I was also, by the way, hated in my office because I was the fastest worker by a lot. I brought in more money than anybody else by a lot. So now you have office politics to deal with too. And when you work from home, you don't have any of that. You can focus wholly on your work. The problems with work from home are, one, people don't seem to understand that work is the operative word. I'm still working. I have an office. I'm still working. I have to lock the door. Because, it's like they forget that just because I'm home doesn't mean I'm available. I can be in an emergency, and that has happened. It was years and years ago. I had a neighbor that knew that I worked from home. She never bothered me, but she knew that I worked from home. She knew I was always home. And one day her baby swallowed a button battery. And so she knew I was home, and she raced to my door, threw the door open, because I never locked my front door if I'm home. At least I didn't at the time. Threw my front door open, yelled, "Donna, my baby just swallowed a battery. I have to take her to the emergency room. Would you please watch my toddler?" Shoved him in the door and ran. And I was like, well, okay, that's an understandable emergency. You can die from that. Baby was okay. The toddler was okay. I actually stopped my work day and spent time with this little boy and played with him. We had a great time. I had a little boy myself at the time. He's now a big boy and in college, but I stopped my work day for that because it was an emergency. And I was thankful. I remember writing it down in my journal. I was so thankful that I had a job where I worked from home, where in the event of an emergency, I could be made available. So there's a lot to go for that. I also, like I said, I use the Pomodoro Technique to be able to focus on my deep work. By deep work, for me, that means I'm doing planning, I'm doing taxes, I'm doing bookkeeping, I'm doing whatever it is that needs to be done. A lot of times I don't want to have an interruption. It's deep. So I'll schedule deep work time, but certainly I want to be focused on work for about 45 minutes, and then I take a break. The purpose of the break, again, is to kind of reset your brain so that if you have a sticky problem that you've been working on, it gives your brain a rest so that you can come back to it with fresh eyes. I really like a story that I've heard where, it was in an office, and someone came up to one of the creatives for that particular business, and he was just staring out the window. And I think it was a middle manager that saw him, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, he needs to be at his desk and he needs to be working." And the middle manager's superior said, "No, we leave him alone. When he does this, he will come up with a multi-million-dollar idea for a business." You see that also in the show Mad Men. I said yesterday or in my last video, that I've been watching Mad Men, and I'm using that as a reward. I can only watch it if I'm on the treadmill, okay? And I really like the show. So you see that a lot in that show. John Draper spends a lot of time laying on the couch thinking. And then he'll come up with something. You'll see him really just thinking. And so you don't have to be sitting at your desk typing all day to be productive. Sometimes you need the time to give your brain a break, to mull over the problems that you have in your business, and to consider the best course of action moving forward. I've said in other videos, and I'm going to keep saying this, we want to build on our previous years of business. We do not want to have the same year of business over and over again. So you do need to have these times where you are just thinking, you're problem solving. And sometimes to do that, you need to step away from work. So the Pomodoro Technique keeps your mind fresh. It does keep you getting up every, once an hour, so that you're not constantly just sitting. And it actually improves your productivity. I'm a huge fan of it. This is how I accomplish everything that I need to accomplish. Again, this is just my own experience. I get up in the morning. I start work right away. I'm with David Goggins on this. I don't have much of a morning routine. I get up, have my caffeine, sit down, plan my day, and then I start working my plan. I take my what most people do in the morning. I will either do it at lunchtime or I'll do it at the end of the day. Partly because I'm not a morning person. You're not prying me out of bed at 5 a.m, unless I have a very engaging reason to do so. I don't like getting up early. I actually do, because I'm more productive on the days that I do, but I have a hard time with it. But that's my routine. And then if I take these 5 or 10 minute breaks during the day, then I don't feel like I've worked all day. I feel like I've gotten a lot done, and I typically have. So I can sit down and work for 45 minutes, then I go make up the bed. I sit down, I work for 45 minutes, I go clean up the kitchen, it takes me about 10 minutes. I sit down, I work for 45 minutes, I come out, I start the Roomba. I work for 45 minutes and I go swish a toilet, whatever needs to be done. And it's not, deep cleaning is going to take a lot longer than that, but at least keeping the house reasonably clean, I can do that in these little bitty short spurts. And it actually, like I said, it actually makes me a more productive worker. When I follow the Pomodoro technique, I get more done, not just in the household, but in my business, because I come back to these problems with a fresh mind. So that's the Pomodoro technique in a nutshell. You can also Google it. The other things that I do to improve my productivity, I showed you my earbuds that I wear all the time during the workday. I have noise canceling on them. Hopefully nobody has any medical emergencies while I have them in. And I do that to kind of isolate myself from the rest of my family. They're wonderful and I love my family and I enjoy being with them. But when I'm working, I really need to be focused. So I put on classical, lo-fi. What music do I usually listen to? No lyrics. Can't have lyrics. Brain power mix, chill music lab usually. Garage, anything that, future garage is what some of them is. I think it's really interesting, that spacey type stuff, or I'll listen to movie soundtracks is a really good one to listen to. But I can't have anything that has lyrics in it because the lyrics themselves will distract me. So I will listen to that during the workday, or I'll just have noise canceling on just so I can focus. And I found that that's just a critical part of my day is I get in here and the first thing I do is I put in my earbuds and that helps me focus, just having them, even without noise canceling. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the video. Try the Pomodoro technique, see if it works for you. It is especially useful to me in a work from home situation or a remote working situation, but you can make it work for the office if you need to. Get up every 45 minutes and just walk around the office. Take a bathroom break. Nobody can argue with the bathroom break. And it doesn't have to be very long, but the idea is just to reset your brain. And with that, you guys have a great day.